most valuable lessons that I have ever learned in selling came my first year in marriage. It was around Christmas time, and I was trying to figure out what in the world am I going to buy my wife for Christmas. I was so clueless. I was walking through the mall just thinking, okay, what am I going to get her? And all of a sudden I came across the perfect store, the sports store. Because I thought, hey, I love sports. Surely my new wife from San Diego, who's a fashion stylist, loves sports. So I walk into the sports store and I'm looking for the perfect gift. And I'm looking along and all of a sudden I find the perfect gift. I reach off of the shelf and I pull off a bright orange University of Tennessee beer bottle opener that when you open it, it plays Rocky Top. And I thought, hey, if somebody bought this for me for Christmas, I would love it. So I wrapped it up and I thought, man, this is going to be great. And I give it to her, and I think that I'm going to see a look of excitement, and it looked more a little bit like Paris Hilton on Jeopardy, like, huh? And in that moment, I learned the lesson. And the lesson is, when it comes to selling, buying, and communicating, we need to treat other people the way they want to be treated. So when it comes to identifying buying behavior styles, there is a whole variety of different ways to do it. I've simplified it to the top 3 or 4 for you guys to leave with today. But there are, in my book, there's over 20 different ways to do it, all the way from the way they dress to face reading. Today we're going to talk about a couple that are just easy to do that you guys can do today and know how to identify different styles. Let's say that we're cold calling and we're on the phone or we're in person. You can listen to somebody's voice quadrant and you can tell what their natural buying behavior style is, what their natural communication style is by a combination of 2 things. Listen to how fast they talk or how slow they talk. Listen to how loud they talk or how soft they talk. The combination of these will tip off what kind of style they are. So a fighter will speak in a loud quadrant with a slow speed. Those of you with kids know this voice quadrant. Put that down, right? So subconsciously what that's saying is I'm in control. It's an authoritative voice quadrant. If you're cold calling, they don't even realize they do this. They're just showing, hey, what do you want? And if you hear that, just start going, okay, I'm talking to a fighter, and start adapting. Everybody welcome Jim up to the stage. You do like an Aaron Rodgers. Can we see the discount double check? Oh, yeah!
And the Harlem Shake.
And the Harlem Shake. Did you do it during the Harlem Shake?
I've been known to.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. So what we're going to have Jim do is he is going to be the navigator, meaning he's watching the person approach him, and so all you have to do is basically stand here, and I'm going to demonstrate what everybody else does. Okay. Simple enough? Perfect. Okay. So now what we're looking for is a couple of things. How do they walk? What speed in which they walk? How do they move their hands? And literally, how do they extend their hand to shake your hand? If you pay attention to all of these things, it will tip you off on what their behavior style is before they've ever said a word to you. Does this sound like a good plan? All right. First one, fighter. The visual for a fighter is I want you to imagine that you're talking or you're looking for Arnold Schwarzenegger on Terminator walking towards you. Now, how they do it is they come straight at you, beeline, they pump their arms, and they walk faster than any 4 style. And literally you might be thinking, this person's going to run me over. Like they walk extremely fast, straight to you, no distractions coming at you. So if you see somebody do that, the next thing you want to look for is how they extend their hand to shake your hand. So you're looking for a couple of things. They extend their hand one of 2 ways. Either you're going to get the tomahawk chop, or you're going to get the javelin jab. So either one of those you might get. So either one, just right there, they're going to come at you. Next thing is they're looking at their hand as if they're saying, you will shake my hand. What you're looking for is a rigid thumb as they extend. If it's an intense, rigid thumb, that's indicating this might be a fighter. So a tense, rigid thumb. Now, when they shake your hand, do you think it's more pressure or less pressure? More. So they're going to squeeze the ever-loving bejesus out of your hand, and you're sitting there going, oh, this is a fighter for sure. Last one, this is how you know you're talking to a fighter, and they don't even realize they're doing this. This is a subconscious thing. They take their hand and put it on top of yours. If somebody does a combination like this and it's all at the same time, you are talking to a fighter. Subconsciously, what is this telling you? They're in what? They're in control. They don't even know they're doing it. I know what you're all sitting there thinking. I'm never going to be bored again. Shaking hands is going to be the most fun thing ever. The last one, and this one's hilarious for yourself and your coworkers, is the office environment. Think about it. Subconsciously, doesn't it make sense that you would know how somebody makes decisions and communicates through how they decorate their office? Counselors have family pictures, team pictures. The CEO of Southwestern's name is Henry Bedford, and I'll never forget walking into his office for the first time, and I was like, oh, wow. Henry is a major counselor. The way I knew it was right above his desk, the most prominent thing on display in his office was this really nice framed picture of his son's finger painting from like second grade. And it had the blue ribbon, like he had won first prize for the finger painting drawing. And I'm talking he probably spent a couple $100 on this nice, wooden frame. And I was like, he really cares about us seeing that second grade finger drawing there. And the way I really knew he was an extreme counselor is that his son is now 29 years old. Still up there. Last one, the close with the entertainer. So what this is forecasting their mind into the future of experiencing what it is going to feel like using your product or service. They buy the vision, the experience, more than the logic detail. So how this sounds, the best example that I've ever had somebody do this with me, I walked into the mall one day to buy a hat. The salesperson walks up to me and says, "Hey man, how's it going?" And instantly I thought, has this guy gone through the Navigate test? Because he's pegging me for an entertainer buyer right now. And I said, "I'm doing good, man." And he said, "Awesome, awesome." And he walks off. And I started to think, man, that's a little weird. He didn't ask, "How may I help you?" or anything like that. So I'm sitting there looking at the hats. He walks back up to me and he says, "So man, what are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to the lake." He said, "The lake, I love the lake. Do you like to ski, kneeboard, inner tube, and all that?" And I said, "Yeah, I do all that." And he goes, "Awesome, awesome." Because I know this might be a strange question, but when you go back to the dock and you're hanging out with your friends, do you like to drink Corona? And I looked at him and I go, "Yes, that is a very odd question." And I thought I'll humor him. And I said, "Sure, I will." He goes, "Awesome." And he walks off. And I'm sitting there going, what is this guy smoking? What's going on here? A couple minutes later, he walks back up and he goes, "Dude, you've got to check this out." And he walks me over to a wall full of sandals. So I'm sitting there looking at the sandals and he goes, "Just imagine this. This weekend, you're out skiing, kneeboarding, inner tubing. You're having an awesome time hanging out with your friends. You go back to the dock and you reach into the cooler and you get an ice cold Corona. And then all of a sudden you realize you left a beer bottle opener up at the house. How's that going to make you feel?" I said, "That'd be pretty frustrating." He goes, "You need these." He pulls off of the wall a pair of reef sandals that have a beer bottle opener in the sandal. So of course I grabbed the sandals and I said, "Sold, baby." And I'm sitting there paying for the sandals and I thought two things. I did not buy a hat and I just got navigated and I loved it. So when it comes to navigate, we need to remember to do three things. We need to solidify in our mind what's the psychology of all four of these buying behavior styles. Number two, we need to know how to identify somebody's buying behavior style within 1 to 3 seconds. And then we need to know how to modify our natural approach, presentation, and close to sell to them the way they like to buy. Thank you very much.